February 6th, 1982. Julie and I were two very different young women with two very different approaches with one common goal. We were about to create the most dramatic moment in sports history. And that race not only changed our lives, but changed the sport of triathlon forever. Though I was in second place, all the attention was on Julie.
And then that fire just like kicked in. This voice from someplace that I didn't even know existed said, "Get up, get yourself up." I think we formed one of those unspoken bonds that happens in endurance events.
Julie Moss was still leading among the women, but Julie Moss had problems. More than an hour before, she had held a significant lead over this woman, Kathleen McCartney. McCartney might at times have been able to catch a faint glimpse of Julie Moss far off in the distance, nearly a mile away. But even at that point, the signs of fatigue were already evident on Julie Moss.
The seeds are getting planted about a part of myself I didn't know, the part of myself that I hadn't asked or called upon before. Why are you willing to start digging? Because this is feeling important. I'm feeling important. I'm feeling like I've committed to this thing, not just to get by, but to get by well. I'm a winner. I'm winning.
And as she ran, she carried her arms lower and lower. Julie no longer just wanted to finish, she wanted to win.
You have to stay in the moment. You have to keep your focus.
She's right behind me. She's coming any minute.
With 8 miles to go, because I saw Julie approaching me. She had already made the turn. And I looked at my watch and I took a split on Julie. And I realized with 8 miles to go, I was now only 8 minutes behind her.
Julie Moss had come to the endurance triathlon to enter and hoping to finish. She never conceived of herself before the race as a potential contender for a victory. Now that was very much on her mind.
I was suddenly not thinking of it as an obligation to fulfill a requirement for school the way I had with my studies. This was now something that was becoming something I was invested in. I have to go as fast as I can because I want this.
About 2 days before my race, I ended up spending the night in the hospital. I thought I had food poisoning. When I was discharged the next morning, I felt like my race was shattered. All that I could think about was how am I going to get out of this hospital bed and onto the starting line to reach my dream of being an Ironman finisher. I had to adjust my goals. If I could just get out of the hospital, I could finish. The dream of winning went out the window. I just wanted to finish what I started. I felt pretty drained, like I imagined how I would feel at the end of an Ironman. But as the day progressed, I kept my focus, and I just said, you can do this.
Her arms stopped pumping, her stride shortened. In the vernacular of the marathon runner, Julie Moss had hit the wall.
That voice just came out of nowhere, and it just said, "Julie, get up! Get yourself up." It was that voice of your will. When you're stripped down, all the layers are taken away. Vanity, forget about it. Ego, forget about it. There is your best self waiting under those layers, and that's what I heard. Get up.
Come on, Julie!
On the ground, Julie Moss looked at the finish line from 10 yards away. There was one more surprise.
I was on the ground. I saw her ankles go by. And I allowed myself a moment to just let that disappointment wash through me.
It was the most exhilarating moment of my life when I crossed the finish line at the 1982 Ironman Triathlon World Championship, and I was declared the winner.
I didn't lose. I gained so much from that effort. Love to show you what happens when competitors join forces 30 years later to combine our strengths, to combine our spontaneity, our
Planning,
yes,
organization,
dogged
preparation.
determination, with a great attitude. 30 years later, we return to Kona, Hawaii, this time as collaborators. We're 53 and 52 years old. We're fabulous 50-year-old women. We're wearing Lycra and happy about it.
And the teamwork that we've enjoyed throughout this has made our individual efforts come together in a bigger and better way.
Let me support you because I understand how much it helps to form a strong network, to have training partners, just to have that support system, especially when you're shooting for something big, to not let your fears get in the way of dreaming big.
Someone said, can you go do Ironman today? Even if I hadn't done an Ironman in 10 years or 15 years, could you finish Ironman? And every day, if I asked myself that question, I would say yes. Because I have a different perception of what is difficult. And I think that helps me to stand taller, have confidence, and just know that whatever it is that I want to do in life and whatever direction I want to head, I can do it.
I'd love to have the best advice, one tip that you could give somebody who's aspiring to do Kona.
I'd say start with keeping your dream alive. Do not ever doubt yourself, because if you keep that dream alive and you set goals for yourself, that's the only way you're going to get there. You have to dream it, then you have to believe that you can do it, and then you implement your plan to get there. I've kind of raised my kids with the Ironman motto of anything is possible.
I really think that, I think if I had a motto, it would be just, make every day count.
I would just say that, Julie has been such a phenomenal person to go through this whole experience with. I mean, there are many phenomenal people in triathletes, but I have to agree, her energy, her enthusiasm, her friendship. She is a very fun and funny person to hang out with. I mean, all of our training, we have laughed more than ever, and that is, because of who Julie is. It's been a wonderful experience. So sometimes we have to adapt the way we get to the finish line, or we get to the next day in our lives, or to the next, to the plan that we have. As you listened to our story, perhaps you heard a little of your own. We all have different paths and different approaches, but the same principles that apply to Ironman: commitment, determination. Pick yourself up when you fall down.
The only person that limits oneself is you. You're the only person who's doing that. And you have no idea what you're capable of. Don't limit yourself.